Good morning, welcome all. We're going to just give it a couple of minutes just for any stragglers to come in, and then we'll get started. Okay. Just feel free to pop in the chat box if there's any problems with the sound or you're having any issues, and I'll get back to you. Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to this Tech Ability webinar, Microsoft Accessibility, Office 365 Online. It's one of a series of Microsoft Accessibility webinars, and it's the last one today. We're very kindly joined with Arran Smith, who's Microsoft's UK SEND and dyslexia consultant. So I'm going to be handing over to him. If you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat bar, and I can either ask them as we go along, or we can save some questions till the end. So I'm just going to hand over now to Arran.
Right, hello everyone, I'm just going to show my screen now. Hopefully you should be able to see my screen. Can you see it okay, Neil?
Yeah, all looking good.
That's brilliant. Okay then everyone, so welcome to this morning webinar on Office 365 online accessibility tools. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at basically what is built into the online platform, which is freely available to every education authority, every educational establishment in the UK for accessibility. So as Neil said, my name's Arran Smith. I'm the UK's Dyslexia and SEND consultant for Microsoft. As I do with any Microsoft webinar, I always start with just giving a bit of an overview about Microsoft. So about 5 years ago, Microsoft had a new CEO called Satya Nadella. Satya is the third CEO that Microsoft has employed. He's a veteran Microsoft employee. He's been in with Microsoft for over 25 years. He was in charge of Windows NT. He has been in charge of their cloud business, which is now called Azure. He was in charge of Bing. So he kind of has a very good knowledge of the company, and is very much part of the company. He has brought in a lot of change when he came into the company. Not only did he write off a huge, massive deal with Nokia and wrote it off when he first started, but he actually did a lot more, and actually he changed the culture at Microsoft, and he set a new mission. Where when Bill Gates was there, they had a mission to put a PC on everyone's desk. He set this mission. At Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person in every organization on the planet to achieve more. And that's quite a bold statement. And when it comes to accessibility and disability, Satya is also behind this. And Satya is very proud of our disability and our accessibility message. So accessibility is a Microsoft priority. We focus on designing and building products that our customers love and that are accessible for everyone and built in for each of us. And that is so true. And it's so much part of it. About what I'm going to talk about today, about especially that concept built in for each of us. Satya really lives that D&I, that disability inclusion lifestyle. He has a daughter with cognitive difficulties and he has a son with cerebral palsy. So he very much knows that concept and how we need to support people with disabilities. And he has a team of people that set it off, and it starts off with Jenny. So Jenny here is our Chief Accessibility Officer. Jenny again lives the D&I lifestyle. She is she's deaf. Wrong disability there. She has to have a signer, and she became deaf from measles infection. She's a team of people that deliver her kind of policy, her standards, her internal and external policy, things like our autism hiring program, our onboarding process, our external customer meetings, and people like Hector. Hector Mento is our accessibility evangelist for the EMEA region. And then Mike Tholson is my boss, best way to describe it, and he's our architect for inclusive classroom. He also is general product manager for OneNote, and so he is actually the person who built a lot of the tools I'm going to talk about and kind of puts it out. This person, I would normally say I don't know who he is, but actually that's me because you can't see me. Just a little bit about me. I'm severely dyslexic myself. I'm 35 years old. I have a reading age of a 9-year-old, spelling age of an 8-year-old. I have tendencies of ADHD, ASD, and and dyspraxia. So normally what I would say if I was talking to you in front of you, I'd be falling over the cables on the floor or tripping over my bag. There's nothing there to trip over. I'm sitting at my desk in my office. It should be fine. I've worked in the field of dyslexia for over 15 years. I'm chairman of the Leicestershire Dyslexia Association. I used to work for the British Dyslexia Association, and kind of like for me, dyslexia is my life and my passion, and I believe in supporting people with dyslexia through my other organisations that I work for. I'm an independent consultant for Microsoft, so I don't just work for Microsoft, I work for other companies, work for a number of AT companies, work for myself, run some webinars myself, and so forth by supporting that SEND community as much as we can. So, just thinking about dyslexia very briefly, and also thinking about disability and differences. So my remit is to talk about the tools for disability and dyslexia, but I will try and talk about a few more differences because we know that when we're in our colleges and our schools, we have lots of differences. And for me, understanding is a really important concept. So this picture kind of sums it up. My kind of dyslexia picture here that I use saying this girl could be dyslexic. She's a very tightly kind of covered. She's got her hands really gripped really tight to that pen. It's in an environment she may not like, that black and white image. When I saw this image, I just instantly thought this was my dyslexia image. And I thought that's very useful to have just to kind of think about it. But what I say always is training and understanding are the two most important things. Both from a practitioner's point of view, from a tutor's point of view, from a teacher's point of view, we need to understand our students. From a student point of view, they need to understand themselves. I think understanding and acceptance actually can really change people's lives. For me at school, through primary and my middle school years, not really accepting my disability, not really accepting my difference. High school going into GCSEs, accepting my difference, being positive about my difference, and you know what? Who cares? I had a conversation yesterday. I'm a cub leader, and we were actually doing some pond dipping in a local strawberry field. And I said, "Can you just read that to me to one of the cubs?" And one of the cubs says, "You can't read," and they laughed. And I went to them. So I said, "Would you laugh at me if I was in a wheelchair?" And he went, "No." I said, "So why laugh at me now?" It is people that can't read have a disability as well, and just talked openly about it. And actually, then he apologised and actually understood it. And for me, that thing is that understanding actually can really go a long way, both across the whole concept of dyslexia and other things. So let's think about what Microsoft is doing in the world of accessibility. So we are definitely looking at this wider picture. So we say there's a billion people in the world that have a disability, and basically that we want to support them as much as possible. And we're looking at all these areas. So we're looking at mental health, we're looking at neurodiversity, we're looking at mobility, hearing, vision and learning. And basically that there is a sway there, that aka.ms/accessibility sway, has loads of information in. It's a really useful link to look at. And I will probably put a few other links up as we go along. So the inclusive classroom approach is looking at reading, writing, maths and communication. And that's really important. Now, when it comes to online, how does all that work? But it also has to start somewhere. And it started from a hackathon in 2015. So this kind of inclusive classroom approach came out from an idea. So let me explain. A hackathon is where people come together and they hack ideas together. So in Microsoft, they have 1 week a year where members of different teams can work on a project they want to work on. It's 1 week, a couple of days. They sit in a room, eat lots of chicken, drink lots of coffee, maybe have a couple of beers. But actually what they're doing is they're working on an idea they want to do. Now, what the hackathon concept happened in 2015 was, Mike Tholson, who I showed you the picture of, who's actually in the top corner there, is interested in dyslexia. He has done a little bit of a project with someone in a video with someone that's using OneNote to support dyslexic students, which is brilliant. He then had another person in another department that was interested in reading, and another person in another department that was interested in writing. Now, them two had come together to do a hackathon on this reading ability concept, but had no engineers. Mike is an engineer, he has engineers. So they all came together and they created this concept called Learning Tools. Now, Learning Tools was then put into OneNote in 2015 as a hack, as a plugin. It basically won that year's hackathon. Now, in 2015, there was one hack for accessibility. 2018, there was over 200 different people hacking accessibility in 2018 in 1 week. So this time last year, it's actually in July last year, there was over 200 hacks, which is quite amazing to see that actually in 4 years where we've come from. So Office 365 is an amazing product. Now, for me, I've been following Microsoft for over 5 years, and I've been watching this development of learning tools, this development of accessibility within the organization. And for me, that when I set up my company and saw what Office 365 offered you, even from a company point of view, I was so amazed. So things like the simple concept is that it has an Exchange server. Now, Exchange server for me is something that actually people wouldn't realize is actually an accessibility tool. For me, it's a massive accessibility tool because it allows me to have my emails and my contacts and my calendar, and the calendar is the more important thing, across multiple devices. And that's the most important thing for me, that I can have my calendar updated on my laptop, but see it on my phone. So Exchange and that concept of Exchange servers, which would have cost colleges and organizations lots of money, is amazing for me. And me as a company, it works really well. And of course, for schools, it's free. But the other things it has, things like OneDrive, which is storage, is also very beneficial. And it is actually quite intuitive to set up. But for schools and colleges, it's free. It's online, and that means it's used anywhere and cross-platform. So that's a big thing, and that's a big change to Microsoft as well. So when I talked at the very beginning about Satya set a policy of cloud first, mobile first. And what that means is actually that he's not actually bothered really about people buying Windows PCs. Yes, of course he is in one sense, but actually in another sense, if you've got an iPad or if you've got a Chromebook, you can still use our tools. Because actually our tools are cross-platform, and that's the benefit of Office 365. Because it's all online, it is cross-platform, and that is a big point. Any device, any location as well. Now in the UK, and this is a personal opinion, not of Microsoft, my kind of opinion is that we are not there yet to fully immerse ourselves in online technology. We're still moving slowly compared to the US. The US have got a better internet system, they've got a better internet infrastructure, a better network for internet. So their schools and organizations are getting better access to things like Wi-Fi and technology. So what that means is their cloud-based concept is already there. For us in the UK, we are very much dependent on desktop software. We've kind of been brought up on this desktop software kind of element. So I think that actually we are changing, we are moving, and I think that actually schools are kind of like, schools and colleges are that driving force. So making sure that we educate our students on how to use the online platform is really important. So on the online platform, we're looking at lots of things. We're going to look at the layout of it. We're going to look at the ribbons. We're going to look at the graphics, we're going to look at the tools, and we're going to look at the features. So over it, we're going to talk about that. Now we're going to look at a number of products today. So I'm going to demo a few products and talk about them, why I believe them. So I'm going to talk about Outlook. So email is a prime example, and what features are in Outlook online for our students to make it accessible. We're going to talk about calendar and how calendar works. We're going to talk about Word, talk about PowerPoint, Teams, OneNote. We're then also going to go into a bit more detail about four other products. So I'm going to talk about Planner, stream, to do, and sway. So before I go to that slide, we're going to now go and jump into this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up a web page here. So I've got my web page open. Now, what I'm just going to say to you all now is that I am using the development version of Edge browser. So if you look down here, you can see here on my slide, on where my mouse pointer is, that there is a little DV development concept. So that development concept means that this is the new Edge browser with the Chromium inbuilt. So it's a development thing. It's free to download. So if you're interested in what's going to happen to Edge when it goes to Chromium base, this is it here. The only reason I've done it is because it's my default browser. I'm using it to play with it. I want to know about it. That's the only reason it's open. So I've logged into my Office 365 account. Now I've logged into my one of the schools that I work at, which is St David's College. I've logged into my Teams account, into my Office 365 account for them, just because it gives them real educational view as a teacher. So I've got like class notebook here as well. So let's start with Outlook. So I'm going to go and open my Outlook up. Now there's a few emails in here that I've got open. I'm just going to open this email here. And basically I've got an email. I'm going to just double click on it so we can open it up and make it a bit bigger. So we can just do that. So I've got an email here, and basically now for me, how do I do stuff with this to make it accessible? Well, the easiest thing is basically click on these three dots here, and we have more actions. And at the bottom here, it says here, showing immersive reader. So very easily that we can do this. So basically what I've done now is it's just going to go through, because I haven't done it for a little while. It's basically gone into immersive reader. Now, if you can't remember what immersive reader is, I'll just go over it very quickly for you. So immersive reader is that reading ability that takes you out of our editing but puts it into our reading view. We can change the sizes, the fonts, we can change the background colors, we can make it easier for our dyslexic learners. This is where it's come from, the spacing. We can do syllabication, we can pick out our nouns, we can pick out our verbs, we can put our labels on, we can do picture dictionary, so I can pick out the landforms, so land, called, and so forth. One of the features that I may not have shown you actually in the past, because this is a brand new feature, was translation. So I can translate this to, let's go into French. I can translate the whole document to French. So even though my web page, even though I'm doing this for Outlook, I can still do all that. But of course, the biggest thing is this.
The study of Earth landforms is called.
So it's quite fast because probably I've been doing it myself.
Physical geography. High land forms can be mountains and valleys.
So straight away that actually I've used Immersive Reader to actually do that, and I've actually been able to read my email. So that's a very basic concept. Within my email, I've actually been able to use Immersive Reader just by clicking the three double dots there, and actually I can do it. Now, of course, that's the biggest feature within Outlook. I just want to talk about this here. So this is the ribbon here across the top here, and the ribbon to me is quite useful. It is. I think it's quite clean, it's quite easy and quite user-friendly. Of course, we can look at our settings and like change some of our other settings. So we have this amazing setting called dark mode. So doing that turns it into dark mode, and basically then you can do some changes around kind of how you actually have your layout put out. So again, within Outlook, you've got a few other features that are not mainly dyslexia features, but may be accessible. So dark mode is a really good feature. And actually focus mode is a really good feature as well. So focus mode, focus inbox, allows us to focus in when we are actually using our product. So basically we know that we get lots of emails that could be a little bit like out there. So I get an email every day from an IT provider that's not Microsoft that I can buy IT equipment from. And that will automatically go into my other box. So in this other box here. And focus mode will basically just keep all my emails around from my organization. If I turn focus mode off, basically every email goes in there. And that's basically what it does. But I can change like the concept. I can make this smaller. I can make it a little bit medium, or I can remove dots. I quite like that because sometimes pictures come up. So like Ruth's got a picture on there. I can change a bit of the colors on the kind of layout just to make it a little bit more concept. I can do. But of course, also then this dark mode is really important. So again, a really concept there. Also here, conversation view is really interesting. For me, conversation view is always putting the conversation at the top. This is how you can have a conversation with lots of different people responding to emails. Some people like it, some people don't like it. For me, this is where you can turn it on and off. And also, some people don't like the reading pane. For me, online, I have the reading pane. On desktop, I don't have the reading pane. But again, that's just a few features built into Outlook. Get it right. So let's just look here at this app launcher. So this is called the Office Waffle, because it looks like a waffle, and basically this is where you can get all your apps you can do. So I'm just going to close this one, and then we're going to go into Microsoft Word. Now what I'm going to do is I've got a document here that I've already edited, that I've already got here. And again, I can open it up, and this is Word. Now, the one benefit around Office 365 is really the shareability. So sharing our documents here by going into here and sharing our documents with someone within our organization or external our organization, so we can really help people, and we'll be able to see things going along. Now, as you can see here, I've got what we call the simplified ribbon on. So the simplified ribbon has really made it simple. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn the simplified ribbon off so you can see the difference. So this is the standard ribbon that most of you will have noticed. Now, very easily just to say actually that these are kind of what it looks like on Word 2016 and probably 2019 as well. The simplified ribbon, I think, is a lot easier for our learners with disabilities and differences. There's a lot of information there. It's a lot harder to read. For me, when I put in the simplified ribbon, I find it easier personally. It's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit easier to lay out. It is. Yes, it's quite small. There's less wording on it, but I can still hover over it and my words come up. So straight away, I've got my document here again. So what can I do in Word that's accessibility related? So the biggest thing, of course, is dictation. So dictation is available in Word and in OneNote, which we'll mention in a second. So I can go into here and go to dictation. I'm just waiting for the internet to load. It's probably going to ask me in a second if I can talk to my microphone. Now, it worked 10 minutes ago when I demoed it myself. So, of course, that's it. That's what I wanted. Allow. I'm using dictation via the online access of Office 365. Full stop. New paragraph. I'm using the power of Microsoft Speech services from Azure to allow me to dictate into my document. This is working pretty well with a few errors. Full stop. So you can see that I've dictated very much online. Now, what does that mean in the real world? So what it means is actually that our students, so if we have a student that's working in, say in a college that's doing a lot of work externally, using the Office version of online, because they can do it on their iPad, they can do it on their iPhone, their Surface Go, their Surface Pro, they can do it on any device, and actually that means they've got dictation. So that's a life-changing, it's a game changer in the world in my mind. It is, because actually dictation is there. Now, I will be very open is that in the past I've installed a certain dictation products onto my computer. My kind of process when I was doing dictation, when I was setting up my own computer, is that I would install Windows, I would then install my accessibility tools like a text-to-speech engine and a dictation product. For me, that dictation product I haven't installed yet. So I've had a new computer. For over a month, nearly 2 months actually, and I haven't installed that dictation product. I have just been using either the built-in version online or the built-in version to Word desktop. So again, we can do a few other things within here. So the simplified ribbon is the other thing. Where's my mouse? There it is. So let's have a look here. So we can go here into the View tab. Of course, we've got the Read View. So again, Read View can be really easy for some people. Just removes distraction. Again, a really useful concept it is. We've also then, of course, in the View tab, we've got Immersive Reader as well. So, of course, we can put in Immersive Reader, and we can also change it. Now, remember that I changed it to different colors, to a blue color earlier. We're going to change to a pink color earlier now. And again, we can do the changes. We can do this. Now, actually notice that the voice changed a little bit. Now, what this may be reason why it's changed is this text here that I've put into here has been actually tagged to a UK voice. So what would be interesting, let's just go back into Immersive Reader and let's just go down to this bit.
I'm using dictation via the online access Office 365.
So I know that I've made an error. I can always just go back and I can edit it and then type it in. So I'm using dictation via the online access of Office 365. So I know I can go back. So I can actually now edit it, even though it's a little bit backwards and forwards. it is still very user-friendly and can be used, it is. So again, we can lay out stuff. So it's pretty useful. It is, I think, for me, it is that we can still add things in. We can put page breaks, and we get links, we get pictures. We can do lots of things. I think the emoji thing is quite nice. Of course, you can see things online. You can write online as well. So let's just go back to the concept here. So we're going to look here at a few other things. So I said to you I was going to look at calendar. The concept of calendar for me is kind of really useful. And I think actually that the concept of calendar is rather than actually showing it's just talking about it, because actually it's part of OneNote, it's part of what of Outlook it is, it's part of Office 365, it sits in there. For me, that calendar concept is really useful. I think that actually sharing contacts, adding things into calendars. If I just go into Outlook and actually just point out a few things here, calendar is down here. Let's open my calendar. So this is my calendar here. There's nothing in it because this is not my calendar I use every day, but adding a new event into it, very simple, very easy. You can drag out events. I can move it. I can make it bigger and longer. So again, quite a good user interface when it comes to actually working out things, because time may not be easy, but actually seeing time can be easier. Scheduling, we can change the kind of concepts. This is busy, away. We've still got all the features that actually is there. Work elsewhere, free time. So again, you see, you can read it, private time. You've still got all them opportunities to actually do stuff. And again, you can invite people. This is really useful. You can do. So it's a very useful thing actually, in how we can add stuff in. But the thing about this for me is ensuring that we use this concept here of repeating. So custom repeating is really useful. So not repeating. So this is what I was looking for. Remind me. Wrong wording. Still began with an R. That's my dyslexia. I apologize. So reminding is really important. Set to 15. For me, reminding is set to 15 minutes before. Now, we can put reminders in. A very useful tool when it comes to things like homework, and very useful thing when it comes to things like setting up events and meetings with people. Maybe an idea actually that we can trial in colleges and schools, actually, that we email our students with a meeting invite to say, you need to do this, you need to do that. So that means that it really gets into their calendar. So I can discard that. So I'm going to go back to, yes, okay. Going to go back to here. So let's just have a look at PowerPoint. So PowerPoint for me is an amazing tool. Now, PowerPoint Online, actually, the reason why I really like it is just because it's there, it's useful, and also that it's got some features in to really help our students create stuff. So what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to go and open a new slide. I'm going to do this. I'm going to type in here and put agenda, AGEN, agenda. I'm going to put on here, this is going to be a school meeting, so we're going to talk about ICT, we're going to talk about maths, we're going to talk about English, and I know I've spelled English. Oh no, I've spelled English right. That's good. I'm going to put a A-K-E. I probably spelled it wrong. That's fine. Notes, N-O-T, notes. Now, this is kind of a very boring presentation, but very easy for a setup. If I click on design, I've got here design ideas. And what's going to happen is we're going to create some design ideas. Now, if I click on this design idea concept here, it's made a very nice, clean thing, but actually it's made it quite accessible. Because what it's done is it's actually put in our pictures relating to what we're talking about. So again, if we're working with our learners, actually, and we're presenting to our learners, and that's very important, that PowerPoint is designed for presenting. It's not designed for sending to people. It's designed for presenting. Sending is what we were talking about when we talk about Sway in a second. So again, a very useful tool there built into it. Hopefully, dictation will come to this in the future. It's already on the online. It's on the path. But I think for me, that's the biggest feature online that you've got that actually is quite accessible, because it's actually changing people's lives. I'm just going to close that. That's probably going to make a new concept. I'm just going to now go to Office 365. If you click on the waffle and click on this, it goes back to that home page. It does. Right, so OneNote. I'm just going to open this OneNote because this is the OneNote I've got open. So OneNote, didn't want to do that. Let's go into SharePoint 1 second. Let's go back to OneNote, open this one. So OneNote Online has got two features that Word has got. It has in the home button. Now OneNote has still got the old ribbon. The new ribbon is coming. Again, we've got dictation, and of course in the view tab we've got immersive reader. But I think that's like one of the benefits of using Word, like OneNote Online. We can also have the draw features. So again, we can draw on the screen. So if I move this onto another screen, I could actually draw on it and actually do the maths capability as well. So it also has the maths pane as well to help with actually understanding maths as well. So again, a really useful concept there around OneNote. I think OneNote for me is that digital workbook. So Teams, I'm just going to go into Teams here. Teams is that communication tool. Again, this has got built-in accessibility. What it will do is, sorry, that's what I wanted. Teams needs sometimes does this. I apologise that my computer is going to be a pain in the neck. So it's going to go into it. That's it. It's done now. Sometimes Teams, you need to actually put a second layer of authentication on it for some reason. It does it on my computer, and because I'm not using a browser, it's kind of there. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to show you one thing. I'm just going to find something that I can show you. Let's do digital transformation, because I can do that one. So basically, let's just look at this one here. I can go in here and I've got the immersive reader concept. So I'm going to immersive reader, and again, I can read this out of what I've said to the team it is. So that's very useful again, and it's going to have the same color background. It is as well. But of course, so then we can do the changes we can do. We can also click on here and go into our settings. And again, we've got dark mode, we've got high contrast mode. So we've got a few things built into Teams that also help us. So now we've got a high contrast mode that may be hard for some of you to read, but the concept is there that we can do them features in the settings. So now let's just talk about a few other things within kind of Office 365. So forms, I'm just going to mention, it's not in my presentation, but I do recommend people who play with forms. Creating forms is brilliant. But Sway is an interesting concept. So Sway to me is really interesting. It is. If I remember correctly, that's the search there. We can look here at lots of templates we can do. So we can look at a newsletter template, we can look at things. Let's use the newsletter template here. Now, the benefit of Sway is this, that if you are creating a document that you are sending out, this is what you use, because it's fully accessible. It's an accessible web page. It creates an accessible web page for us. It allows us to then send out information to people and actually create this. So if I click on here, I can edit this newsletter. So what we can do here is we can click on Start Editing Sway. It's preparing the template for me to edit it, and I can start editing it. The thing about me is that Sway is very useful for sending out stuff. So if I want, I can now change the title. So Arran LE letter. I put too many R's in my name, but hey ho. And I can then add cars. I can add lots of content. I can add headings, text, images, stock images, uploads. I can got different types of media, audio, visual, embed stuff, grid, slideshows, and so forth. A really useful tool to play with. The real benefit though is that basically that when you press this play button here, this is accessible. We can go on here and click read aloud.
Accessibility view. Edit. Share. Arran letter. Introduce your organization's periodic newsletter.
And there you go. You can see that. So I'm using the built-in read aloud feature in Edge, but you can see there that how it's actually really using it really well. And I think for me that's a real beneficial concept it is. So I wanted to show you one more app and just talk about. I'm going to talk about two other things. So To Do is just a hidden app in Office 365. It's an app you can download onto your phone, onto your iPad, onto your tablet. I recommend it all the while. It's nothing. There's not a lot in here. Literally, you can type stuff in here, but it has what they call a today view. So today view basically comes up. It's really, the concept is really useful because it sits in your Office 365 account. It works on there. So I use it every morning. I wake up in the morning. I open it on my phone. It comes up with a little thing that says, "What have you done today?" It was part of Wunderlist. Wunderlist is one of the things you may have heard of. You can import stuff from Wunderlist to it. You have that concept where you can see all of the to-do icon, or your to-do list, and then you can tick them off. You can assign stuff to it. It's a really useful tool for adding tasks in. Really simple, like do the Arden set up ICT. Yeah. And I can go in here and I can remind myself. I can add some dates and add some notes into it. I can I can add this to my today. So this is now added to today like it is. And basically then once I've done it, I can just tick it off. And it does a nice beep, and that's done now. And they're gone, and they won't come up again. But you can actually do lots of things with to do in the sense of it will actually tell you what you've done. You can add different lists that you can share with people. So me and my other half, we have an odd occasion we do like a CO Costco. I can't spell Costco today. We have a Costco list, and what I can do is I can share that out. So I can create that integrated link to actually share that link out with someone. So again, we can share our to-do list. So if we're working, say, with support workers and we want to share our to-do list, we can do that. So again, it's a really useful tool. I find it very nice and very useful. The last thing I want to just talk about, before I talk about Sway, so I want to talk about Planner. There's Planner here. Planner is an amazing concept, it is. And basically that Planner is, again, a hidden plan. You can have a private or public plan. Basically, if you are planning an event, if you are planning an activity, Planner is really useful in that concept of creating buckets for things and assigning people. If you're working with a team of people, so you're planning a project or you're planning let's say an office move, a new development, this is what you can do. You can put all your ideas into Planner. I'm just going to start a new planner, new plan. I'm going to make it private. It's going to create the new plan. If you don't spell it wrong, that's not an issue. And straight away, it just starts with to do. So I can add tasks into this. So again, like to do, just task orientated. So build, set up, MARKE marketing. I'm just typing and pressing enter. STU stuff. So I can now add people to my planner. Of course, I can add members. So I can add a member to it. And basically now I can add a bucket. So I can add a bucket, say show. And basically that I'm going to put the setup. I can move the setup. I can either move it into there by clicking on it and changing it to show. I can give it a colored label, and I can give it some context. I can say if it's like when it's due for, when it's starting, if it's in process, and then I can just click on send, or if actually I click across, it's already done it for me. It's got a nice orange one there. We can look at our charts. We can see how many tasks there is, what's going on. We can look at our schedule if we've got schedules, if we've put dates in things, when things are going to happen. It's a really good overview of how we can plan stuff. So, and then another useful tool. Now, the last thing I just want to show you is Stream. Stream is your internal video storage system. I haven't got any videos on Stream. There might actually be a video on here because this, of course, is there is some videos on here that some people have put in. I'm just going to look at this video here because this is quite good. And this is a biology video. It's a brilliant thing because it is a school. We have got it in school. It has been uploaded by one of our teachers and it's useful. But actually what we can do is, you see here, we've got transcriptions here. So a very useful thing here that actually it's transcribed the whole of this. Now I can do this searchable transcription. So I can search in here for a word. So if I type the word F-I-V-E, and click search, it's saying to me that actually it says there. So you see that there? That it actually jumped to that 1 in 25 because that's where I wanted to go to. So I remember the word 5 and it's jumped to that point, 1 in 25. So that's a really useful tool. So uploading stream videos is an amazing concept. It is. It's really useful for our students. It's really useful for our staff members. You can create hidden channels. You can create lots of things. This is like amazing to see that people are uploading stuff already, and a really useful tool for activities. So for me, the concept is we've gone over some of the products. We talked about the accessibility tools, the way they work. As I said, that Office 365 is in lots of programs. We've seen lots in there. That actually is an old one. It's in a lot more than that. It's also in Flipgrid. It's in a lot more products than this, and I'll send out that to new people when when we talk again. We've demoed the product. Don't forget that I think that all of you should join the Educator portal. So this is education.microsoft.com. It's a really useful tool for you to join. It's a free joining feature. There's lots of tools, lots of features on there that you can use to support your learners. This is a link you want to take away, so ak.ms/inclusive ultimate. The link has got loads more information about what we do for for people with differences and disabilities. So a very useful tool it is. And then just to let you know that we're here to basically set some transition, set that foundation of success, grow students in their potential and create them independent, empower all you tutors and learners, and build inclusive schools to create inclusivity. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. I'm open to questions. Over to you, Neil.
Great, thank you, Aaron. Could you just take us back to that really useful link that you had on there?
Oh yes, I can do. Yes, I can do. Yeah,
the ultimate one. Yeah.
That's it. There you go. That's the link.
We can leave that on, and then it will just give people a chance to pop it down while we have some questions.
Yeah, that's fine. I apologise that my other phone is ringing and I can't stop it because it's over the other side of the room. I've turned one phone down, and I apologise. It's going across. So of course, someone of course is ringing me at the time when you don't want them to.
It's not me. I promise.
No, that's fine.
So got some questions.
Go fire away.
First of all, does the immersive reader save your preferences across all the Office 365 tools?
So when you're using it online, it does. It doesn't work on profile from online to desktop, not yet. It is in the roadmap to happen. But if you are using it, say, in Teams and then use it in OneNote, as you probably may have noticed that actually the color did come across. So I use the same background color and the same font, it does come across. What it will do is that on so because we update it quite regular, and basically we may have because it's an online premise and it's an online application, we do lots of updates to it in the background, maybe security, maybe that kind of concept. So so actually we do use it. So yes, it will go across. What you may do is you may find sometimes them like messages come up like you saw, click this but to find out more about it just because it's been updated. But yeah, no, 9 times out of 10 it's moved across. That was actually a new feature added this year. So last year that wasn't there, but it is added this year. And hopefully then in the future it will come to desktop.
Okay, great, thank you. The next one, lots of learners end up working in the way that they will take exams. Does Microsoft have any aims to try and make the software accessible for exams?
So we're working on it. I love it. I can count the 3 questions I get asked whenever I go to anything. Exams is a big question. For me, this is for day to day. You can't do this in an exam because it's all online. And I think that yes, in the future we really want to support exams. For me, I think it's something that we have to work on. I think that if I'm, as I said, I'm an independent consultant. I have been told to book people in for my next contract, which means that's after June. My kind of one-man wrecking ball concept over the next 18 months will be to ensure that we can use Microsoft products in exams properly and to its full advantage. And that's my mission to change the exam system. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but I'm definitely going to try. Because actually, for me, it is my standard way of working is using dictation, which is an online product. Why is that not allowed? There's a bigger issue in exams, and I can put my 10 pence worth into it now, but I'm not going to because I think we need to move on.
Okay, that's great. I mean, that would be really exciting. I know for a lot of the schools and colleges that I work with.
It definitely would be exciting.
One of the kind of simple and easy questions that I think people might want to know, if someone has watched today's webinar, found it really useful, they want to get Office 365, where do they start? Where's the first step?
So the starting point is dependent on your organisation. So if you're within a college, within a school, have that conversation with your IT team. Do they have Office 365 already? Lots of schools already have it. Some of you may be on a Google platform, and it's not a massive issue. If any of you want to know, I'll put this out there. So last week was Global Accessibility Awareness Day, and Microsoft released the Foster's report. It's not in these slides, but I will send the link to Neil, and I've got a nice document you can take to your head teachers and your IT team and as special needs kind of people. Not that concept is not right, but you'll understand it when I get to it. Basically showing actually that the comparisons between G Suite and Microsoft and all the accessibility tools and what you have to do. So that's a really useful thing. The Foster's report also shows that actually that when you take on Office 365 properly, you actually save $50 per child per year. So it's an American report. It also says that over an academic year, you can actually gain over 97 hours of teaching time back, because you're not having to sit with people with additional needs, or work with people more closely because they've all got features inbuilt. So the thing to start with, so coming back to the question, Neil, start with your IT team. If you haven't got Office 365, go on the educator portal, education.microsoft.com, sign up, find out what's out there. Start the process with a partner. So you'll need to have an education partner. So it needs to be, so it could be like someone like academia, Stone, there's lots of educational partners out there that can get you an education license. A1 is the first license, which is the free license, of which everything I've shown you is in A1. You get everything included in that, all the storage, everything. The only thing that you may not get is Stream, where you might not get a lot of Stream storage, but I can't remember if that is different. But the logical concept is you can play around with it. At least you can get started with a lot of the tools. So a lot of things in PowerPoint, in Word, in Outlook. Get that start. Remove. It's also what that big thing about going to A1 is the cost saving. If you have a server in your school that does email, so an Exchange server or an email server or a POP server, straight away that piece of hardware becomes redundant because you're moving it to Office 365. And actually the biggest thing about that is then that's cost saving, because actually that piece of hardware doesn't need to be replaced, doesn't need to be managed, because both replacement management costs money, and also then we can then look at that retirement plan for that piece of hardware, or that reutilization. That's the other option.
Okay. If an individual wanted to sign up to Office 365, is there a different process for that?
If it's an individual concept, depend on where you're looking. So if you're looking at home, home and student, what they call it, or is go to office.com, and it's really, really simple. I can literally just, if I just open this and just go to, I'm just going to do this actually. I'm just going to go into an incognito browser just so it doesn't go offoffice.com, and then literally you can just get Office, and literally you just fill it all out. So for a home user, this is for 5 accounts. This is 5 people, so £79. What this means is you're allowed to have this on 5 different users are allowed to have it. So basically, this is the one that my partner has. So my partner has her laptop. She has Office 365. We have a shared account, so we can use that. That's the cheaper version. That version is actually just desktop. So it's not the best version. It's a one-off purchase. It just gives you them 3 products as desktops. This is the better version. If you're an organization, then it's the business version. This is kind of like, this is the equivalent to the Education A1 license. So this version here, which is £3.99, gives you the nice services, so Exchange Online and Teams and SharePoint, but gives you all the online stuff. So say you're a tutor, that is the cheapest version you can get. It's £3.80 a month plus VAT. It's a really good thing. If you want the desktop products, this is the white version. These 2 versions are really good. This is the better version, of course, because you get all the services. This one you don't get all the services. So
okay,
that's the benefit.
Just so I can be clear, is it if you're a student, you can only get it free if your organisation decides to do so?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. To get all the features as a free student, your organisation has to be registered. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
One last question. This one's from myself. After kind of testing some of it, could there be a keyboard shortcut for Immersive Reader? It would make it easy for learners who struggle to navigate menus, and it would also mean we could map a switch.
Yeah, I think that is really interesting. I think there is something there that actually is a very good question. What I would say is that if you've got feedback, my email address is there. No,
okay,
it's not there. Neil, you can share my email address with everyone. So by all means, my email address, you can email me, and I can pass it on to Mike Tholson. I think actually mapping mapping a shortcut key to immersive reader would be an amazing tool. Finding one for desktop is going to be harder. Maybe we could find one very easily for online. I don't know. That's a very good question, and I think that's a really good idea, because that means we could map a switch to it. That's a really good accessibility question, a really good point. So logically, it could be done. Where it would be and when it would be is the next question. It's where it would fit into that roadmap concept. If you do actually want to look, if you look on, if you just type in roadmap and then say Outlook or roadmap OneNote, you'll actually see Microsoft do publish roadmaps. So you can actually see the roadmap of what's being published, what has been announced, what's going to be coming over the next 3 months. So you can find some of that information out.
Okay, great, thank you. And I'm just typing out your email just in case anyone does have any questions, and then I can put this up on the screen. Does anyone else have any questions before we finish? Just give you another minute. And no, I think we've had the questions answered. Okay, so yeah, this webinar and all the other webinars will be going up on our website. So you'll be able to view this. I can just take you to the PowerPoint, so that this should have our details on. So if you want to email me about anything that you've heard today, then it's neil.beck@natspec.org.uk. That's our Twitter handle there, tech_ability1. That's a shortcut to our webinar channel, or you can just look from our website. So just Google Tech Ability and click on the webinars tab.
Or Bing Tech Ability.
Yeah, oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Whichever browser you choose.
Yeah.
And there we go. I've just popped Arran's email in there. So it's arran.smith@sendgroup.co.uk. And thank you all for attending.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, everyone. Take care, and I'll speak to everyone soon.
Great. Thank you so much, Arran.
That's no problem. Thanks very much, Neil.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.